Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame. How are we doing? We have made it through. We have made it through that fiery, fiery Aries new moon. But as the saying goes, out of the flame and into the fryer. In so many ways, this week, the 19th of April through the 25th, 26th of April feels more intense than the week of the Aries new moon. Now, sure, we have the moon now shifted into Taurus. The sun is preparing to shift out of Aries on the 20th, 21st, moving into the 0 degree of Taurus as well. Things are moving out of that massive stellium in Aries and that sign of initiation. But Neptune and Saturn are still there. And in fact, on this 19th day of April, we have a massive conjunction of Mars, Mercury, Saturn, the Hathors, the Moira, all working together right around 7 degrees, right around 7 degrees, 8 degrees of Aries. They're pointing in conjunctly at the South Node. They're still working in that yod with Pluto, sextile to Pluto. And as we continue moving through this week, as the sun shifts, as the sun shifts into Taurus on the 20th, 21st, Venus is coming into its exact conjunction with Uranus at the 29 of Taurus. So we'll have the sun and Venus and Uranus bookending the sign of physical embodiment, of manifestation, of aesthetics in many ways, of the new earth. The sign of Taurus is fixed energy. It can feel rigid. It can feel quite unmoving. But what it's really connecting us to, and we can feel this in the sign of Scorpio, we can feel this in the sign of Leo, where on the 23rd, in addition to the exact Venus-Uranus square, we will have the Leo maiden moon. There is this movement in the subtle realms. What's being affected is those places and spaces that move in the more unconscious realms, the more subconscious realms. We could call this in the dreaming body or the shamanic body realms, in those spaces and places where the dream time exists, in those spaces and places where we have access to deeper knowings. Look at the signs that represent the fixed energies. We have Taurus, the bull, very connected to stability and structure, but not in the same way that Capricorn is connected to structure. It is an earth sign that has all 4 feet on the ground, whereas Capricorn goes from the deepest depths of the ocean and climbs the mountain. All 4 feet on the ground. It is also very deeply connected to our physicality, to our DNA structure. And we can feel this through the location where this Venusian-Uranian conjunction is happening at 29 degrees of Taurus, being the location where the great central star of the Pleiades, Alcyon, exists from our astrological calculations in this moment. We can feel that connection to physicality with the sign of Taurus and the sometimes slow moving energies of physicality. We can move things through our consciousness, through our mind, even through our emotions pretty quickly most of the time. It's when it has to move through the physicality that it takes a little bit longer. And part of the energy of this week is helping us to shift our perspective. That's that Uranian energy. And to manifest more quickly, more consciously, to connect in with those parts of our physicality that might be moving a bit slower and move them more quickly. So we have this Taurus energy as one of the fixed signs. It's the first fixed sign of the astrological wheel. Then we have Leo. Leo is strong and courageous. It's also very heart-centered. Leo invites us to feel that creative flow, to feel that creative energy. But again, it can be a bit subtle. Now, any of us who know Leos, subtle is not their middle name as a general rule. But what we're experiencing is this upsurging, this very bombastic form of that subtle realm. Of, oh my goodness, look at this thing that I have found. Let me show you all it. Isn't it amazing? But it still can be kind of, let me feel how this wants to be said. The words that I'm getting are one-sided, which I'm not feeling totally. It's more about, no, one-sided. Look at this thing that I've shown you. There's not as much reception in that Leonian energy. It's more outward expression, which is interesting because the house that Leo represents in our astrological wheel, the fifth house, is still below the horizon. So a lot of the work is being done internally, right? So it's look at this thing that I have discovered. It's very I-centered, and Leo being ruled by the sun, we can feel this as well. It's an outward expression of the I in many ways. Then we have Scorpio. Now, this is probably one of the most intense signs in the entire zodiac, right? It represents our bowels, our intestines, our sexual reproductive organs. It is that water that moves slowly, the groundwaters, I'll often call it. And it's connecting us into those parts of our emotions that are a bit more stuck or stagnant, but it's also where the greatest growth potential exists. Because if we and when we access those places, those subtler, quieter, more intense emotions, and allow them to be processed, that's where the real healing exists. And then we have Aquarius rounding out the fixed signs. And Aquarius is the sign which Uranus rules. It is very dreamy. It is very transcendent. It is a beautiful expression of water and air working together, the mind and the heart working together, the water bearer being an air sign. It is our unique expression. Yet it is also a fixed sign. Sometimes we can feel like it's not moving fast enough. This can be felt with the energy of Uranus as well, where this planet that is about lightning fast change orbits slowly and takes a long time to move through the solar system, right? So it's quick, lightning realizations that need time to be processed through our emotions and through our physicality. And this is where we are this week, this subtle realms, all this fire that we've been experiencing, all this forward momentum that we're still in as Pluto is still moving forward and hasn't quite started to stop in its tracks yet. We'll get there when we get to the energies of the full moon in Scorpio on May Day, in fact. This is a movement where all of the work, all of the forward facing and intense work that we've been doing throughout this month of April and beyond is tickling down into the subtler realms, inviting us to really make the changes in the foundation of our being. We've been talking a lot about it is time now, not just to talk the talk, but to walk the walk. And as on the 25th, Venus says, come hither, and invites Uranus into the sign of Gemini, where Uranus will remain for the next quite a few years, anyways. We are also feeling that allurement. The sign of Gemini and Uranus in the sign of Gemini is inviting us to be our most unique expression, to allow our freak flags to fly, if you will, to say, this is who I am, and to not shrink down for anyone, to let your light shine regardless of where you are, to not say, well, I can do it here in this room, or when I'm by myself, or when I'm sitting in the bathroom and nobody's around. I can dance around my kitchen with abandon when there's no one else in the house. But as soon as somebody walks in the front door, I shut myself down. If it's true for you to be dancing around the kitchen, dance around the kitchen as if no one's there, regardless of who's there. That's what this energy is talking about. And can you feel how this could be more intense than what we were experiencing even just a couple of days ago, as we were being asked to stoke that fire, to plant those seeds? As we come into the 23rd with that Leo maiden moon, we find the moon at 3 degrees of Leo. We find the sun at 3 degrees of Taurus, making a T-square with Pluto at 5 degrees of Aquarius. Pluto again, who is getting ready to turn retrograde on the 5th or 6th of May. So we're really, let's put this out. Let's test these waters. And then we'll get that whole retrograde to kind of explore the places where maybe we got kind of uncomfortable. I was sharing with my husband the other day that I have created a situation now in my life where if I was not allowed to be my whole self in a relationship, I'm not in that relationship anymore. Anyone or any situation where I was asked to shrink myself or not share the whole of me over the past year and a half or so started to jettison. And the one exception to this happens to be his family. There are ways in which I am always my whole expression, but also a knowing that there are parts of who he and I are that do not compute for, say, his father. And so when we are with them, I can feel the constriction in my being because I can't share some fundamental aspects of who I am in that place. Now, with his family, I have pretty much always shared who I am. But even those places where I can't share something, such as the open nature of the relationship that my husband and I have, it feels so much more intractable and uncomfortable than it ever has before over the last year and a half or so. The last time we went to visit them, it was so painful that it manifested as a migraine. And I could tell that this migraine was because I was trying to hold in something that was a fundamental truth about me whenever I was in his father's presence. So this weaving, this piece is being shared as a way for us to experience how maybe those shrinkings, those places of, well, I can't really be the whole of myself with my sister, or I can't be the whole of myself with my father, or I can't be the whole of myself at my job or with this friend group, actually is manifesting as physical illness. This Taurus energy, as the sun moves through Taurus, as Uranus and Venus prepare to leave that sign, noticing these subtle and sometimes not so subtle, a migraine is very much not subtle, right? Places where our physical body is literally telling us that we need to make a change. For me, the making of the change began with me having the conversation with my husband about it, right? That it causes me physical distress to not be able to be open with everyone in my life. So the invitation then is to feel for yourself. Where are you in physical distress because you're trying to shrink yourself? Now, a migraine is a beautiful example of this because it is like rigor mortis. It's a clenched fist. It's a vice, literally, in your head. But it could be a knot in your stomach, in your diaphragm, a catch in your throat. Nausea is a really good indicator that you're physically trying to shrink yourself down. As this movement, as we move through this Leo maiden moon in T square with Pluto on this 23rd day, and Uranus and Venus meet together, conjunct Alcyon, we have an opportunity to manifest the physical state of being that we most need, that we most desire, that is our truest truth. The Pleiades are intimately connected with our DNA structure and with our heart center. And as we connect in with those 7 chakras that the Pleiades, 7 sisters, represent, as do the 7 Hathars, we can body scan and really feel where something might be out of alignment. And then as we feel that something Go in deeper. That's the beauty of this fixed energy that we have so loudly over the course of this week is a capacity to get in deeper, deeper and deeper still, to find those truths that previously were hidden from view. Then on the 26th, or sorry, on the 24th, Venus will shift across the 0 point of Gemini, moving through a conjunction with Sedna, that beautiful Oort cloud asteroid that connects us in with the farthest reaches, and in her queen of the underworld, the oceanic underworld, the deepest depths. And we can feel our state of communication through all of those planes which Gemini represents. And we can open our heart to receive the messages as Venus comes into this conjunction with Sedna. Then the following day, the 25th, Uranus comes in. Uranus will move across by the time we get into the 26th, 27th, and beyond with Sedna. Now, Uranus and Sedna both move pretty slow, so that conjunction, when it becomes exact, is going to last for a while. And it awakens us to new capacities, to innate capacities to explore those deepest depths, to explore those highest heights. And as all this is happening, Neptune, that great veil lifter, will be in an exact sextile with that, right? So we come through this week and we come into that final week of April and the beginning of May as we continue to have this waxing, this growing moon, and we come into that full moon on May 1st, really exploring the ways our capacities for seeing are growing, for experiencing our deepest depths, for exploring the farthest reaches of the cosmos. Now, during this time, Chiron, the wounded healer, will also move into the 27th degree of Aries, exactly conjunct the Andromeda galaxy and my personal Chiron. It's quite a thing. The Andromeda galaxy is our twin sister of the Milky Way. It is our closest neighbor. There are theories that suggest we are beginning already and overlapping a divine union, if you will. The Andromeda galaxy dimensionally resonates to somewhere generally between the 7th and 12th dimensions, which is to say that quote unquote angelic energy. It is also a place where a lot of wounds about abandonment happen to exist because of some of the energies of soul journeying. The Andromeda galaxy invites us to feel in its exact trine to our Milky Way galactic center, with Chiron there as well, invites us to feel that longing, which is the gift, that longing for connection with our entire dimensionality, with the entire cosmos, with Source. And through that longing, quite literally call it into us. That is the allurement. Our longing, our desire is the magnetic resonance that strengthens the cord between our physical embodied heart and the divine love that is the all in this all universe. Unique expression is the prescription. Finding those places where you shrink yourself and giving those places loving attention is the medicine. Feeling how with this Chiron Andromeda conjunction in trine to the galactic center, fears of abandonment have kept you from your truest expression and allowed those movements to occur, those realizations to move through your heart space, to open your heart a little wider, to utilize the energy of the bull in Taurus, to plant your feet firmly and say, I will not be moved. This is my truth. I will not be moved from my truth just because it makes you uncomfortable. Yum. Ah, let me feel if we have anything more to share. I will share that we worked with the goddess, the Egyptian goddess Tashat, for the Aries new moon over in the portal. If it calls for you to come over to the portal, amazing, please do. If you're feeling called to leave a comment, it is such a gift and an honor for me to read and share with you and weave with you in that place. As you strengthen your capacity for being your true divinity, for walking the walk as well as talking the talk, as Gemini energy and Taurus energy start to move us into the new. Allow yourself space to integrate. Practices that could be really helpful for this are yin yoga, slow moving yoga, right? Holding poses, which is that feminine movement of the yoga, the yin yoga. Deep breath exercises, kind of like the I am one that came through in our Aries new moon video. Walking uphill. This seems weird, right? Walking uphill. Of course, when you walk up a hill, you also have to walk down the hill. But intentionally climbing a hill and allowing it to be a meditative practice. This could be really powerful at sunrise or sunset, but any time of the day. If it's in nature, all the better. But if you happen to live in the middle of the city like me, you might be climbing the hill on sidewalks and city roads. And that's good too. Working with the dryad spirit or the tree spirit could also be very helpful during this cycle. Slow moving energy that transits, that experiences. We're not talking about quick living hibiscus here. We're talking about the redwood, the oak tree. We're not talking about the fleeting nature of the cherry blossom, but the leaves and the roots and the trunk and the branches of that cherry tree. But also the fleeting nature of the blossom and how, like each and every one of us, the tree does indeed contain multitudes, and allowing its expression to be what is true for it is part of its natural state. And it can be powerful medicine for us as well. The tree blooms when it's time for the tree to bloom, and it does not care whether you're ready for it or not. It simply says, today is the day I bloom. Its roots go where its roots need to go, regardless of if there's a sidewalk in the way. It will push that sidewalk up. And you feel how the tree is a powerful, powerful energy to work with in this current. Thank you for joining me. As always, this update is shared with so much and many loves from the dimensions of the all and beyond the beyond.